you, as a hypnotherapist, be putting your prices on your website? A lot of you ask me this. A lot of you struggle with making this decision. So I'm going to make it clear to you on this video the reasons why you should, the reasons why you shouldn't, and my own personal experience. But also, I'm going to share with you something that's even more important. Something that's even more important that will actually determine whether you should be putting your prices or whether you shouldn't. I'm going to deal with that at the end. So why might you want to put your prices on your website? And the first reason is because a lot of hypnotherapists feel quite uncomfortable with the money conversation. We dread having that conversation. So actually, it can be better just to get it up front. It's clear, it's on your website, people know how much you charge. It kind of feels comfortable. And when you're having a conversation, a discovery call with a client, you don't have to worry about having the money conversation. So that's a really good reason to do it. Second reason is you're going to qualify out people who simply can't afford to work with you. You're not going to waste your time or their time having a call, having a dialogue with them. The third reason is for a lot of people, and I've been there myself, is if you don't know what the price is, you're maybe going to assume that the price is actually too high, that it's unaffordable. A bit like when you walk down the high street and you see a shop without prices in the window. Do you really want to walk in there? You have an expectation that they're going to be really, really high. So they're very good reasons why you would want to put your prices on that on your website, to get that all out above board, clear, before people have a conversation with you. Now, let me share with you the reasons why you may not want to put your prices on your website. And the first of these is that actually, particularly if you are offering high value bespoke services, how can you give a price to somebody before you know in detail what their issue is, before you know what stage they're at, before you understand how complicated it is to solve their issue? So even though we may practice hypnotherapy, we may practice particular types of hypnotherapy, how can you really understand how much help that client's going to need to get to their solution? How can you even decide whether you want to work with them before you've had that initial conversation? So actually, how can you actually set an expectation of price without knowing what they really need? Because no two people need exactly the same approach. The second reason is that actually, if you are selling high value services, which I hope you are, unfortunately, many of us are selling ourselves far too cheap, devaluing ourselves far too much. If you put a price on there which is potentially higher than what people are expecting, you will scare them off. They probably won't come on to the call with you in the first place, let alone book from you. You may think that's okay, but here's the reality, is that people buy hypnotherapy, similar services, when they believe you can help them, when they believe you can trust them. And they don't get that just from looking at your website. That makes them have a first step to have a conversation with you. But once they've spoken to you, they know whether they believe that you can help them, whether they feel comfortable with you, whether your methodology is something that's right, whether you're putting something together that is right for them. And when you get to that point, the thoughts about price largely come off the table, because people aren't worrying about the price. People are worrying about, can you help them? Are you the right person? But a lot of clients will never get to that point if you put the price up front and they never have that conversation. You haven't had the chance to demonstrate how you can help them with your story, your values, your expertise. So you may well lose a lot of people there. The other side of this is actually, again, if you're putting up a price which is a kind of a by the hour, by the session, and if you're trying to attract high value clients, you'll actually scare a lot of people off if you're too cheap. The kind of people who might be long-term clients who, if you want to do coaching, for example, to combine with your therapy, if you're positioning yourself as a 50, 60, 70 pound per hour, 80, $90 per hour person, the kind of people you might want to get into your coaching program aren't going to want to work with you, because they're not going to position you in that space. You're someone who charges less than the local plumber, less than they pay to put their car into the garage for an hour. You're not positioning yourself right for your audience. So really, there are quite a lot of reasons why you should want to put your prices on your website, but also a lot of reasons why you don't want to. And a lot of it depends upon your circumstance. And what I see a lot of people actually doing is putting prices for their packages. I'm a big fan of packages of offerings. That's incredibly important. I teach that a lot in Boost Academy. But quite often when people put up these different range of offerings, they confuse people. They go from a few $100s, few £100 up to thousands. And people are thinking, well, if I go on a call with them, they're going to obviously try and sell me the bigger package, aren't they? Otherwise, why would they have that free call with me? So we can also confuse people by putting our prices up there, as well as setting the wrong expectations about what they actually need. So let me tell me my experience. So I've done both. And I've found in the past, my experience was always not to have prices on my website, because I wanted to get people into that conversation, and because I'd already positioned myself, and because of the way I understand how to run a successful discovery call. Very rarely do I get objections with pricing, and nearly always people want to work with me, and I'm not selling to them. I'm not pushing them. People want to work because they believe and trust, feel that I can help them, and the price is less of an issue. People happily pay or find a way to pay the price. So actually recently I have tried an experiment to see what would happen by putting my prices on there, and actually for me it hasn't made a lot of difference, but I am established, I am busy, and for me it's not really an issue if that scares a few people off, because I've got plenty of work. So I haven't seen it make a big difference for me, but I think earlier in my career I found it much more helpful not to have my prices there, because of all the things that I talked about in terms of positioning value. If you are selling commodity by the hour kind of services in a local area, then you may want to put your prices there, because that's fine. There's nothing wrong with doing that kind of work. It all depends about where you want to be. So as I said at the beginning, what is the other key thing that's really, really important? And this is about what is your audience, who are the people you want to attract, and who are the people who are coming to you. If your people are kind of the local person who comes to you because you happen to be local, they happen to have found you in the local directory, and it's the kind of person who's been used to paying £40, £50 an hour for going to therapy, they'll think it's a lot to pay you £70 an hour. And there's nothing wrong with that kind of audience. If that's what you want, if that's your market, that's absolutely fine. If you're not in that place, if you're specialist, if you're niche, if you are providing therapy and coaching, you do not want to be attracting that kind of audience. So this is where that first step is absolutely the most important, because the first step actually, before you even worry about pricing, about whether you put on your website, is about, have you got your brand correct? Because your brand is right. If the brand that you've already positioned, if your shop front, if the brand you represent is right, you will attract the right kind of clients to come on a call with you. They will have an expectation of your price, an expectation of the kind of person that you are, and your price isn't going to be a surprise for them. When I didn't have my prices there, people very rarely even challenged my prices. People very rarely challenge my prices. In fact, I found that as I increased my prices, the less challenge I got. So pricing is a personal thing. My personal experience is, for people who are providing standard services, just put your price out there. If you're providing something more bespoke, more tailored, if you're dealing with complex things, get people on the call, get them confident with you, and your price will come as no surprise then, providing you present it in the right way. And I talk about that in Boost Academy. I teach that in other videos. But really, if you're doing the foundations right, if you're getting your brand right, if you're getting your offering right, if you're getting your outreach right, price is not going to be an issue. Price is not going to be a surprise to people, and you can position that right. So I hope that's been useful. I'd love any questions. I look forward to sharing more with you in the next video. Thanks for watching.